Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today on this Friday brought to you by our friends from Campbell River, Rick, the Quinsam Communications Group. All sorts of submissions into the nice. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. A lot of people not believing Connor Bedard's mother.
I do.
Regarding him never having McDonald's. And also a lot of people, no names mentioned, saying that Donnie goes to Tim Hortons because it's a Canadian thing, pointing out that it's not owned by Canadians anymore. Okay.
Tim Hortons?
I get it. They got the maple leaf on the cup there on the lid.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a history there. Thomas Drance joining us now from The Athletic. Canucks 6-2-1 in their last 9. They host Ottawa Saturday. How are you, Thomas?
Doing well. 6-2-1. My goodness.
Yeah.
A miracle run.
I bet you're really happy about that. I know something you are happy about that. I think I got this right. Looking at your Twitter account last night, you had a whole lot of fun, like a lot of us did, watching Oilers Bruins last night.
Oh, fabulous game. Impressive performance from the Edmonton Oilers, right? The Boston Bruins are an absolute machine. They don't lose games in regulation that they lead. Until last night, it was a pretty impressive performance from a pretty impressive group of star players on the Edmonton Oilers. That was fun, and it was a taste of a reminder for me. It was like an amuse bouche of what we're about to get when the hockey speeds up and the stakes.
Say that word again, Thomas. Say that. Amuse bouche.
Amuse bouche.
Again.
Sorry. I want you to say it.
I explain to me what a schmooze-booze is.
It's an appetizer, my friend.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
A small pre-appetizer. You know, you go to a fancy restaurant, they have a little scallop or something on the table.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He gave me the look. That's why I asked.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
You gave me the look.
What did you call it, though? Did you call it a smooze boosh?
Smooze booze. Anyways.
Close enough.
Oh, man. This is so good.
Hey, it was 3-2 last night. Same score as the Canucks and Ducks the other night. And you made the point, I think a lot of people agreed, not the most exciting night at Rogers Arena, but you felt, Thomas, it was a sign of growth for the Canucks.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with a quiet game in which the Canucks control play and come out with 2 points at home. I mean, this organization could use less drama. This organization could use less excitement. The games that the Canucks have played in this season have featured the most goals, both ways, of any team in the league. They're second in the league in fights. The giveaways, the breakdowns, the moments of like, did he just do that? Both ways have been constant all season. So to have a drama-free victory, even if the crowd sounded at times like they were asleep, I think this team will take that. I think this organization could use, turning down the volume. Maybe not all the way to min as they did on Wednesday night, but certainly lower. A workmanlike performance, a no drama victory. Hey, I'll take that, particularly if it's something the Canucks can build on and recreate in 10 or 20 home games next season.
So, Thomas, here we go again. Late season surge, and
Yeah, I mean, let's not the amount that we are getting ahead of ourselves about it. Like after last year, surely we're not going to kick the football again. Right? Like we're not all going to be Charlie Brown trying to kick the football again after the way this team finished the year last year and believe that it just translates into next season, right? Like surely this market's not going to do that. Nope. This market's 100% going to do that. We're seeing it already. I hope that what we're seeing, like what I talked about with the drama-free game, the responsibility we're seeing from the back end, like I hope that's real. I hope that's signal, not noise. But are you prepared to say it is? If you are, you're guessing. Just admit that you're guessing. And, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it translates this time. Hopefully this time Lucy lets us kick the football.
Absolutely. I wanted to get your views because I know you're working on this story as well. Thomas, Aidan McDonough, it looks like he is going to sign with the Vancouver Canucks here in the near future. What are you hearing on McDonough?
Yeah, looks like so. I behind the scenes, I think the industry expectation was this one might be a little bit tough for the Canucks to get done, and seems like that flipped a couple of weeks ago. So definitely I'm hearing that it's trending in the right direction. I suspect that we're more likely to see him in Vancouver than Abbotsford, which is always a sign of the leverage that a player in this situation holds. I'm sure the contract will tell us a similar story once we see what the bonus structure looks like. But look, when you go back for your senior year, there's a lot of people around this business whose eyebrows furrow and teams start wondering, hey, is that guy going to be an August 15th guy? The fact that the Canucks look like they're poised to get this done is really good work. Like really good work. It's really not easy to get these college guys who, play in the States, are from the States, live a pretty good life in that environment and have gone back for their senior season, meaning they're just a few months out from having real options. It's hard to get those guys under contract. Obviously, nothing's done until it's done, but it does seem to be trending in that direction. And in checking in with my Boston contacts, just this morning, Rick, in reaction to your reporting, I think that the Canucks probably had a pretty good sense that this was going to go in a favorable direction when they held McDonough beyond the deadline. So again, good work for them managing their risk there. And if this is in fact done, and it could be done as soon as this weekend based on when McDonough's season may end, right? I mean, it could be a little bit longer, but it could be done relatively quickly. That'll be really good work. These are not easy ones to get done.
17 points in 17 games for JT Miller under Rick Tocchet playing center. What have you noticed, Thomas? In what ways has he improved?
Well, mostly it's defensive, right? I mean, the shorthanded stuff, the club's scoring on just about every shot they take 4-on-5. So I don't know how much that matters. I see the sort of defensive awareness of the teams a little bit better. I'm not sure that it's materially better on the PK yet. Looks like there's maybe a few less seam passes going through them, but I'm not prepared to look at the body of evidence and say the Canucks PK is fixed. 5-on-5, the offense hasn't really been there for Miller, right? Only 4 assists in the 16 games or so. So we're not looking at like a huge explosion of offense, but the shooting percentage has been low. He's been lower in the zone. The back checking's been noticeable. He's played the sort of responsible game that this team needs him to play. And, full credit to him. He's driving play right now. Like he's looking the best that he has at center all season. But, it also shines a bit of a light for me on what we saw in the first 50 games, which didn't look like this. So, it's been good, but it hasn't been good enough this season. And I don't think his form under Tocchet should obscure that truth.
One more, Thomas. We had Brandon Sutter on the show Thursday.
Yeah.
What do you remember about March of 2021 when, 21 Canucks got hit by COVID, including Brandon? We all know about a situation with long-term COVID.
Well, there's a lot that I remember about it. It was a really hectic story to cover, right? Like the team had set up stuff like they had drive-in testing, and every day there was 5 more positives, 4 more positives. I remember the day I went to the rink for the morning skate that turned out to be the super spreader event, checking in to see if the club was even going to skate, and it was going ahead. And I remember watching it thinking this should be okay. We'll see. And it sort of only registering 4 or 5 days later that I'd covered a super spreader event at the morning skate. The other thing I'd note is I was the only guy at the practice that Adam Gaudette left early, right? And I'm watching, and it was like a very deeply unpersonal setting, right? Like I'm watching from a suite. I'm the only person there. And I noticed, because there's a PP2 drill, that Adam Gaudette's not on it. And I asked Travis Green about it on the Zoom thereafter. And Green said that he'd been pulled off because of protocol. And, I'll always just sort of, you don't know that you're like, oh, well, this is going to be a huge outbreak as you're tracking the steps that it takes to get there. So I remember noticing Gaudette leave. I asked him. We knew that it was COVID as a result. Then they hold morning skate the next day. I remember being worried about it in advance, checking with people. I remember talking to people who later tested positive after that skate. And then I remember the game getting canceled just as I was putting on my tie to go to the rink, that game against Calgary. And then the days that followed, just a mess of rumor, checking in with everyone in the organization who got sick on like a day-to-day basis. You know, some players would be like doing yoga on their patio, text you back a photo being like, I feel totally normal. And other players did not, right? Other players, and Brandon's one of them, right? Like, I can't walk up the stairs right now. You know, I've been lying on my couch watching Yellowstone for a week. I got sudden onset vertigo. You know, it was a really weird one to cover because, as we all know about this illness, and remember, this was a group of players who were completely unvaccinated at the time too, right? Some guys, no problem. Some guys got really, really sick. Brandon was one of the unluckiest of them. And I hate to see it. Like, I hate to see that he hasn't played since. I'm rooting for him. I saw that he was hoping to make a comeback next year. I think everyone's going to be hoping that he can get all the way back and play meaningful NHL games. What a story that would be. Best of luck to him. He was a great guy to cover, and I'm hoping that he can make it all the way back. It was a devastating story to cover. You know, really, really was, and a really tough one too, because of the amount of rumor and innuendo and parsing through it. And you know, I'd add this too, gentlemen. Like, you know, you cover these guys. There's only some guys whose numbers you have and who you become, you know, you have a relationship with outside the rink. But during the course of that outbreak, right, like, it was a tough one to cover too, because you felt for everyone involved in a totally different way than you usually do when you're like carving a team that's losing, right? Like, it's like, whatever, that's sports, that's a game. This was life and families getting sick. And I mostly remember that side of it, and it being a very challenging month.
Brandon pointed that out yesterday. He's got a very young family. They were hit as well. Yeah. Hey, Thomas, thanks for this. Appreciate that. This was not an amuse bouche. This was the main course. All right. You're no appetizer.
Always is.
All
no,
right.
well, I'm a little large for an appetizer, gentlemen. But be well. Have a good weekend, and smooth bouche.
How come you and I talked on the phone last night for a half an hour? You never use these dumb words with me, but you use them on Twitter in interviews. Why?
He's an entertainer, that's why.
I talk like this. Sorry, Rick. I tailor what I'm saying for the audience. I assume that your audience will understand me. I don't assume that you will.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The audience understands. We don't. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Thomas.
I speak slowly for Rick. It's all good.
I know you do.
Bye.
Thank you.
Adios. Bye.
Amuse bouche. Wikipedia page. Different from appetizers, and he alluded to this, in that they are not ordered from a menu, but are served free according to the chef's selection alone. And the term amuse-bouche means mouth amuser.
I've known you for 26 years. You've never used that word with me.
I'd never heard of it before.
Thank you.
Thomas, he hangs out with people. I can't relate.
That's not true. When him and I talk on the phone, it's like he got barely past grade 8. And then when he's on Twitter and stuff, he uses these fancy words.